everything seems to be up and up on schedule. So feeling good, and just have to keep going and make sure that the next step in the rehab is on schedule.
Kirk, we're just talking to Brian O'Neill, and he almost gets emotional talking about you. He said, like, there's so many reasons why he wants you back, a million or so reasons, personally and for the team. How does it make you feel?
Yeah, I'm not surprised in the sense that I know the kind of love that our teammates have for one another, so that's a feeling that is mutual back towards Brian as well from me and to many other people in this locker room. And we've been in it together a lot, through a lot of ups and downs, and so we'd all love to be able to do it again and get back together again and try to make another run.
He said at the beginning when you guys were struggling, what really spoke to him was you brought up past situations where you might have started the season slow or
Right.
something else happened,
Yeah.
and that really calmed him down and
Yeah.
really helped. Is that just you naturally, or do you feel like as a captain, as a leader, you needed to do that? Where does that come from?
Well, I think you're telling yourself a message, right? Because when you face challenges, part of that is you're not immune to it, and so you have a voice to yourself of what do I need to hear, and then you realize I think my teammates would benefit from hearing this as well. But I've certainly lived my life, my football career, and the way I handle my marriage, the way I raise my kids. I play for the long game, and you're going to lose some short games here and there, but I believe if you have the right habits, you do things the right way, that you give yourself a chance to win the long game, and that's the game I'm trying to win. And I think there's still more up ahead to go get.
Kirk, you were yesterday sitting on the bench or sitting on the water cooler next to Fuller walking off. Like, what all was going through your head yesterday?
Not too much. I wasn't too introspective. I think I was just, thinking more in the moment about the game. I was hurting for Nick because I thought once again he played his guts out, and the last couple series didn't end the way we wanted, but was proud of the way he played and the way he battled under duress all day, and was probably more just focused on that specific game than anything beyond that.
What's the most important thing to you as you ponder where you want to play next year?
What a great question. What a great question. I think it ultimately is about winning football games, and so that will be the most important thing, winning football games. With that, no one thing is in a vacuum. Usually you win football games because there are some other factors that are really important to me that are going to have to be there to be able to win football games. So it ultimately all ties together. The factors work together, but I certainly believe we can do that here.
What do you look for, Kirk, when you say you win football? You know a lot about this game now. You played a long time, and you know it's not just draft picks you got coming, all those things. What do you look for that dictates, hey, this is a contending team, or they've got the right people that can make the right decisions?
Right. Yeah. No. I think it's a long list. I think it's you need great leadership. You need to stay healthy. You need to draft well. You need to sign some impactful free agents, even if they're not the big name free agents. It's amazing the guy who gets signed several weeks after free agency started, who's on a league minimum deal, can become a piece that makes a major difference in a week 17, 18, or a playoff game. So you have to do all those things, and I think that's why the NFL is so watchable and followable from February to August, is because we all of us know that those decisions are a big, big deal, and it can be, exciting to follow.
Kirk, when it comes to the contract, structure, I think becomes pretty important as far as how this team can make it work. Do you expect to be more interested or involved in that, some of the nitty gritty about getting something done than maybe before?
I think I'll let Mike McCartney do his job, and I'll let the team do theirs. I'm not going to force anything. So we'll let the team do what they want to do. It's their club, and they'll make their decisions, and then we'll react accordingly.
In the situations, the term hometown discount comes up a lot publicly, at least externally, and I'm curious what your take has been historically on that, and if it's something you would embrace.
Yeah. Another really good question, Kevin, and one I've thought about pretty much my whole 12 years is that question. I do think it's important to be aware of. I think that God has blessed me financially beyond my wildest dreams. So at this stage in my career, the dollars are really not what it's about. I had a coach who I was with who was a younger coach at the time. This was back 8-9 years ago, and I was before my first franchise tag. And we were talking about the situation, and he made a great comment. And he said, "Kirk, it's not about the dollars, but it is about what the dollars represent." And I thought that was an interesting comment that he made. So there will always be some of that, but to Dave's point, structure is probably more important.
And how do you define structure?
Everything that isn't the dollars.
Okay.
So that stuff you also work through.
Kirk, you heading back into free agency here, possibly for the first time in 6 years. How is your mindset approaching that different this time than it was 2018?
Well, I don't know that it is too different. I think, if anything, I find myself really relinquishing it, and just saying, let the Lord lead. He's guided me this far. He hasn't failed me yet. I remember walking off the field my last high school game with no scholarship offers and just kind of saying, I wonder, I'm kind of walking off a cliff, it feels like. I wonder what's going to happen next. And while it wasn't an easy path, it wasn't a red carpet, I watched the Lord arrange events to get me to Michigan State. And then Nick Foles signed, and I thought, oh no, I'll never play. And then I watched events be arranged that not only did I play at Michigan State, but Nick Foles also played and became a Super Bowl MVP. And God has a funny way of kind of working everything out in His plan and His timing. And it's not going to be easy, but He gives you the feet to walk the path He gives you. So I watched it happening, being drafted to Washington and saying I'm at a dead end, to suddenly I'm starting my 4th year there and getting franchise tag. And then I watched it happen coming here, signing the contract I signed, and looking that day saying, I know most of you at the time didn't know my journey, but I found myself saying, how is this happening? I mean, I was the kid walking off the high school field with no scholarship offers. So I continue to hold to that. God's going to have a plan, and I'll trust Him. And it's more my job to relinquish things and not hold them so tightly. And nothing has taught me that more than this injury, of the importance of just letting go and trusting and seeing where things go, and doing your part, but seeing where things go.
And from a practical standpoint, with the injury, like how that's a curveball that you haven't dealt with in free agency before. How will you address that with teams, or potentially with teams, or not, or that Mike do that, or what will he do?
Yeah, I'm not going to try to sell myself, if you will. I think if I kind of like to let people make their own decisions, because I do think that the league needs quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to talk yourself out of a quarterback, then I can't help you much. The Achilles is going to heal, and it's on track, and I'm a pocket passer, and there's a lot of time before next season. So for a lot of reasons, it doesn't concern me, but I can't convince other people that, then that's okay.
Kirk, when you talk about what the dollars represent, does that just mean how you see it valued by a franchise, or?
Yeah, I think it's inherent. When the coach said it to me, I didn't really need it explained to me. I understood what he meant in that moment, when he said that.
A couple more questions like for you. You've been in this locker room and alongside a lot of these guys just today. Like, what are the emotions like knowing that a lot of these guys you've been here with, there's just such uncertainty?
Yeah, you deal with it every year. Some years it feels better, other years it feels worse. I think this was a unique year with the injuries, and having not been in the fire as much as usually I'm in the fire 24 hours before. So difficult to articulate those emotions, but we're all aware of the way this league works and how this day always tends to carry with it a sense of change, or of a reset, or of a completion. And I think it was important just to complete our circles, as my college coach would always say, and kind of finish this year strong the best you can, and then know that a new circle now has to get drawn.
Kirk, if they were to sign you and then drafted a quarterback in the spring, possibly to just kind of be underneath you for a couple of years, would that be something you'd be open to? Would that affect your interest in being back here if that was a possibility they'd draft somebody?
Yeah, I think every year, in a sense, in my career, there's always that potential of a new quarterback being brought in, and there's always a succession plan. I mean, I don't think you can do your job as a leader of an organization without saying, what's our succession plan? What do we have down the pipeline? That's just being responsible and due diligence. So, whether it was Nate Sudfeld being drafted in Washington, Kellen Mond, Jaron Hall, I mean, there's always going to be that dynamic of what's our plan moving forward. And, the contract timing tends to be done in March, and the draft is in late April. So you kind of do one before the other, and it won't really matter what happens in April, because once I sign my contract, that's done in March, and what's done is done.
Kevin O'Connell has been very clear about how he feels about you. I guess what has that relationship meant to you over the last 2 years?
Yeah, Kevin's worked so hard. He was throwing a lot of curveballs this year especially, and the longer I play in this league, the more I have an appreciation for how difficult the job of a head coach is, how many hats he has to wear, how many departments he has to have a feel for, and how many people he has to lead. And so as a young coach, he's done a great job handling all that and drinking through the fire hose, if you will. And I would think we'll probably have some more conversations up ahead here in the next few weeks to just kind of continue to get on the same page and see where things are headed.
Are there intangibles? You talk about the dollars, you talk about the wins. Is there another intangible that's important to you to make a decision? Culture, players?
Well, there's many factors. There's many factors, including that my kids, love their kindergarten. So there's all kinds of factors. But you also have to remind yourself that if it comes to it, I'll have to find a good kindergarten somewhere else. So it's there's many variables. That's the only reason why I bring that up. And you ultimately just want to try to find a fit that makes the most sense, and ultimately that you feel peace about. I felt great peace and clarity when I committed to Michigan State. I felt great peace when I arrived in Washington and saw the coaches I was going to get to work with. I felt great peace when I came here, and that's really what you're looking for this time around is, where am I getting peace from the Lord, and then follow that.
Okay. Thank you,
All
guys.
right, thanks, guys.